93.6 Global Radio, the official English-speaking station on the Costa del Sol. I'm joined in the studio today by one of the most hardworking men in the music business, Tim Arnold. Lovely to have you here today.
Lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Tim, I say hardworking because you're just about to release your 16th album, I believe.
Yeah, no, makes me sound ancient, doesn't it?
Over how many years have you been releasing these albums?
The first album came out when I was 21, so that's about 20 years, I guess. Yeah, I started quite young in the business.
So you really are. You're a human music machine. And
Yes, I've been called that a few times.
It's got a lot to say through your music as well.
Yeah, I think I'm just endlessly fascinated in various subjects and you know, life in general. And it's what I've done is write poems or tunes since I was very, very young. So just put the two together, really. Now,
often when I meet a new artist, it's fairly easy to pigeonhole their music. They're a pop singer, a rock singer, a jazz singer. I'm struggling to find a word to describe.
Yeah, I know.
Eclectic, I suppose.
Eclectic, yeah. It's funny. I kind of, for years, I never knew what to say when people say, what kind of style of music you make? Apart from good music, hopefully. So I kind of went with, I was very fortunate to work with Iggy Pop a couple of years ago, and I say what he said. He said it's not dissimilar to David Bowie. And of course, most people then suddenly think that I'm some sort of, you know, cross-sexual kind of character. It's nothing to do with that. It's just the idea of working on songs through different characters, you know, and having a different character and their perspective to write from. So none of my albums really sound the same. So, you know, like a lot of artists, whether it's like Coldplay or Nelly Furtado or Beyonce, you kind of, you know where you stand with them. But actually in the 70s, they have this whole other thing, a lot of artists, not just Bowie. And I kind of, I guess I work in the same way. I think it's a bit like being an actor. You know, you never do the same role twice in a film, hopefully.
Well, you're here today because I'm kind of hijacking your holiday. We need to talk about the Costa del Sol connection. I know that you're here visiting your wonderful mum, Polly Perkins.
Yes.
From the TV.
Yeah.
And the music and EastEnders.
TV's Polly Perkins.
I know. But of course, you grew up here in Spain, didn't you?
I did, yeah. We moved out here when I was 10 years old, which was 85. And it was quite different then. I mean, it was totally... there weren't radio stations in English for sure, and there weren't any music shops where I could get music, which is why I eventually went back to England. But yeah, I mean, this is where I went to school, and
you went to school in Coin, is that
in
right?
Coin, yeah, which is where I learnt Spanish, and kind of I suppose a lot of the reason I ended up writing music and writing, I think from a very English music fan point of view, I was listening to things like the Beatles and Kate Bush and Pink Floyd, a lot of British, very well-known British acts, was because there wasn't anything like that here. There were no record shops or anything. So I was very, very, very hungry and thirsty for that. And I think it's because of that hunger and thirst that I ended up carving out a career in music. Perhaps if we'd had stayed in England, I might not have. So, I didn't want to be here really as a kid, but I loved it. But I always wanted to go back to England. But now I see that how useful it was that my mum brought me here.
Were you one of only two English children in your school here in Spain?
I was the only English kid in my school until the last year when I left. Yeah.
How do you think that's had an impact on the way you express yourself musically?
I suppose I was shown a great deal of acceptance because in a school, I think there were 300 kids in the school that I was in, and they were all Spanish. And they really kind of almost like tore chunks out of me when I arrived because they'd never had an English person in their school before. So it was I didn't know. I just thought that was normal. But when I look at it now, I realised that I was like an alien that had arrived in this tiny village and in the middle of nowhere. And I was paid a lot of attention by both the teachers and the children. I mean, the English teacher, who was Spanish, would obviously want to sit down with me and talk about England and English history and stuff. So I was very lucky. I was given a lot of attention. It helped, I think, in terms of connecting to people, which is what being a performer is all about, you know.
Well, if I just take a quick look at your new album called I Am For You, it's not out yet, is it?
It's out officially 1st of September. I think it's actually streaming on Apple Music now. Okay. But the record itself isn't out till the 1st of September. Well,
we're going to talk a little bit more about your background in a minute. First, though, because we've been talking about your childhood here, the first track on the album, Mother's Intuition, it's got an interview with you that your mum, Polly, recorded at the house near Colleen. How old were you?
13.
So on this track here is 13-year-old Tim.
Yeah.
And your mum.
Yeah.
Tell me about the record.
Well, because the record is a real kind of exploration of all facets of love, you know, the happy sides, the sad sides, the easy bits, the difficult bits. It's love in all its forms, really, and I wouldn't say it's lovey-dovey at all. It's just exploring a lot of the beauty and the pain that we all experience. And of course, my mum had interviewed me when I was 13 in the back garden because she just wanted a tape of me before I left home for good. And I did. I left home at 13, you know. And one of it's about 2-hour long tape, that. But one of the questions in the interview was if I had started writing romantic poetry. And of course, you'll hear in my voice at 13, and my voice hadn't broken at that point. I really didn't know what she was talking about. I think I had an idea, but I hadn't. And so I think, and she kind of indicated that perhaps when I did start writing about romantic issues, that it may never end. And it would be quite a large amount of work. And that's sort of the album. So it seemed poignant to start it off with that little conversation we had in 1989.
So here it is. We'll give the record a listen. It's called Mother's Intuition. This is Tim's interview with your mum, Polly, and then it goes into track 2, which is Love Will Not Hurt. It's 93.6 Global Radio.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever written about this princess?
No.
You've never written a poem just to your imaginary love or anything?
No.
You haven't written romantic poems as yet?
No.
No. Do you sometimes feel romantic?
I don't think so. Yet.
Not yet.
I think I'll start writing romantic poems once I've had the experience of romanticism.
Oh my God, there'll be probably books full of it, I should think.
The official English-speaking station on the Costa del Sol. 93.6 Global Radio.
.6 Global Radio. That's called Love Will Not Hurt from Tim Arnold's brand new album, I Am For You. Tim, I want to talk to you about your alter ego.
Which one?
Well, you're not just known as Tim Arnold. You have you're the Soho Hobo.
The Soho Hobo is a kind of character I developed to write all the songs from my previous album, which is called The Soho Hobo, and that was really just because I've lived in Soho for 20 years, and of course my mother was a windmill girl there. My grandparents worked there with Paul Raymond, so it's really in my genes, and I feel passionately about the areas I ever have done. But it was encapsulated in a 5-year project called The Soho Hobo, which was an album of songs.
And you've also worked very hard to preserve that history of the area, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, I never thought that I would have any kind of involvement with, like, I don't know, the music culture and its heritage in Soho. But because of what happened a few years ago, all the music venues were being closed down or demolished. There's a lot of little support by local government and council. And so I started a campaign called Save Soho, and which is why, by the way, I'd been working on the Soho Hobo album, and then I kind of paused that for, 18 months to work on this campaign. And we were very successful, and we saved Madame Jojo's, which is a really well-known music venue in Soho. They're rebuilding that now to regenerate it. And I was very fortunate. I had a lot of support from people like Stephen Fry, and my friend Benedict Cumberbatch got involved. And of course, with people like that, the media start to pay attention beyond it just being an indie singer-songwriter from Soho. So I was very lucky, and I think we did a great job in getting people to feel passionate and remember why Soho is such an important and unique place in London.
A few years ago, you popped up on the BBC show The Voice.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Honestly, you want an exclusive?
Well, I just kind of, when I'm looking at you as an artist, and I'm looking at The Voice, I'm struggling to put the two together in my mind.
Yeah, do you know what? Every single one of the musicians I've ever worked with in the last 20 years had the same problem that you had.
That's no disrespect to The Voice. I think, I enjoy the show.
Not at all. I think there's a place for shows like that, and there are people that are made for them. I don't think I was one of them. But having said that, I was kind of talking to an agent at the time, and they said it's not going to do any harm, and it didn't do any harm, to be honest. It's not real, you know what I mean? There's so little of it that's real. But what was real is that every time I'm out of London and in different parts of the United Kingdom, people will recognise me and quite often come and tell me that they bought my record and stuff like that, which is a really nice opening for me, because if you're independent, you don't have access to reaching people that well. Well, I don't anymore. So it meant a lot to me in terms of connecting to a bigger audience in England. Yeah. But it was a really funny thing to be a part of.
And you mentioned earlier today that you've done some work with Iggy Pop.
Yes.
Am I right in thinking that your elder brother did a movie with Iggy Pop and
That's
you did the
right.
music? Tell me about this.
Yeah, so, well, my brother's a very talented filmmaker and film producer, and he put this script together for like what you call a three-hander, four-hander. So it's like a film with 4 characters in it, and it's a thriller set in Spain, actually, of an aging rock star who's going blind but decides he likes shooting a rabbit in the mountains, which, as you can imagine, is not the best thing to do if you're blind. And he's got a young wife, and there's a threat that arrives with some visitor, and it's a thriller. And Iggy Pop played the lead character, and then my music was put forward for the film. And Iggy okayed it and said, yeah, let's hear what you've got. So I got to write the theme music, as well as a track which I released as a single called Money Kills Love, and the music that Iggy himself played in the film, which was such a privilege for me.
It sounds like a really exciting thing to be a part of.
It was, and it was a thing to be a part of. I see that as a very definitive chapter. It wasn't an album that I made, but the song on its own. Also, I did a crowdfunder for Money Kills Love, and that put me in touch with a whole new audience of people that have since supported me. So the whole experience that came through Blood Orange, thanks to my brother Toby, Tobias, and Iggy Pop, was, an important chapter for me musically.
And back to the new album, you've mentioned that it has a theme of love and the many different types of love. What was going through your mind when you put this together?
I think to begin with, I never really know when I'm writing an album. After I've written 3 or 4 songs, it sort of puts its hand up and says, "Hello, I want to be an album." So it's only. I tend to follow that as instinctively rather than try to decide from the beginning. But so it wasn't like other records that I've done. The Soho album was obviously that concept album about Soho. But this was, I think it's encapsulated in I Am For You, which you can hear those words, I am for you, and you can think that sounds like a Hallmark, like Valentine's Day card, right? But actually, it's not actually love even. It's a different emotion. I think being for somebody, to actually be for somebody is quite a large commitment. It doesn't mean I love you. It doesn't mean somebody loves you. It's a whole other area which I was exploring, and I think is worth exploring. I think more of us should explore that.
If we have a listen to that record from the album, it's track 4. It's I Am For You by Tim Arnold at 93.6 Global Radio.
If time doesn't heal, don't think, only feel. If you can't believe it still, trust that I will. Finally seeking, you have to reach inside yourself. You could have anything, you could have everything you're holding out for. 'Cause whatever you get is what you find courage to really ask for. And so I am for you. It's time to stop running away, 'cause it's true, I am for you. I'm giving it all just to make it through every song.
93.6 Global Radio, that's I Am For You, taken from the new album of the same name by Tim Arnold, who is with me in the studio this afternoon. Tim, one of the records on the album has already got a video for it, and it's got quite an important message to it, hasn't it?
Yeah, What Love Would Want is the last song that I wrote for the album, and I guess it's the only song on the album that doesn't come well, it does come from a personal place, but it's more to do with the acceptance of love in all its forms. And I kind of wrote the song and the video at the same time, and it was a very straightforward idea that I was singing he for she because of a campaign. It was a very well-known campaign run by the United Nations Women Organisation, and it's about inspiring more men to support women's rights, which I felt strongly about. And then I was singing those words, he for she, and then I started singing she for he, and I thought, well, let's just keep going with this, and it was he for he and she for she, and all of those are questions really that I don't think really matter. What matters is what love wants. It doesn't matter if you want to be with a man or woman, or if you want to be a woman, if you happen to be a man. All these kind of identity labels, I think, can often get in the way. And if we just imagine love and personify it as a person itself, ask what that person would want. So that's what the song's about. And yeah, we did a video for it, which was really one of the most remarkable experiences I've ever had. We had 30 couples, straight couples, gay couples, lesbian couples, transgender, mixed race, interracial, and it was my effort to try and do something that was a little bit like the world I've grown up in. I'm mixed race, my mum's gay, I've grown up in Soho, which is, as you know, is very open to different cultures and ways of life, and I thought it'd be nice to see that. So we have all these amazing couples, and of course Stephen Fry and his husband were very generous, and they are in it as well. In fact, they kiss in the video. So it's one of those videos that everyone that's seen it is really moved by, and I'm very proud of it.
Let's get back to the music and play the song. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. What Love Would Want at 93.6 Global Radio.
93.6 Global Radio.
From my door, the barriers you say I never saw, in my mind, you talk about a problem I can't find. He for she, she for he. Ask what love would want, what love would want for you or me.
93.6 Global Radio, that's What Love Would Want from Tim Arnold, who's with me in the studio this afternoon. Tim, this song is taking you around the world, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really remarkable. I was invited to do Canadian Music Week this year, and I just finished making the video, recording the song, and I shared it with a couple of people that I met in Canada, in Toronto, actually in my hotel room, because I really didn't want to send it by email or anything like that. I was being quite cagey about it. And a group of incredible professionals in the music business in Toronto just offered to help promote the song. And then I met another guy that's just started a new company that I'm working with as a kind of an ambassador called Musiconomy. And they're kind of like a cross between Spotify and Bitcoin. It's wild. But they said they wanted to fly me back to premiere the song on a boat, which I did, and then we shot extra footage for the video. And I mean, it's remarkable when you do that, especially as an independent artist. I think if you're with labels, you take that for granted. You get flown around a lot, you know. I don't, and so it's a major thing for me to suddenly be on a flight back to a country just because of a song I wrote, and then meeting all these people from different backgrounds who felt strongly about it. I did a lot of promo and radio every day about it. It was lovely.
Well, I love the album. I wish you every success with it, Tim.
Thank you. Thanks,
and I'm going to let you get back to your holiday on the Costa del Sol now.
Yeah.
Thank you for popping in.
This is a part of it. This is a part of the holiday. It's great.
It's been wonderful to meet you, and do come back and see us next time we're here.
You too. Thank you.
All over the Costa del Sol. 93.6 Global Radio.